The Clay Tablets from Babylon. St. Swithin's College, Nottingham University, Newark-on-Trent, Nottingham. October 21st, 1934. Professor Franklin Caldwell. Care of British Scientific Expedition, Hela, Mesopotamia. My dear Professor, the 5 clay tablets from your recent excavation in the ruins of Babylon arrived on the same boat with your letter. I have been fascinated no end and have spent many pleasant hours translating their inscriptions. I should have answered your letter at once, but delayed until I could complete the translations which are attached. The tablets arrived without damage thanks to your careful use of preservation and excellent packing. You will be as astonished as we in the laboratory at the story they relate. One expects the dim and distant past to speak of romance and adventure. Arabian Nights sort of thing, when instead it discloses the problem of a person named Dabasar to pay off his debts. One realizes that conditions upon this old world have not changed as much in 5,000 years as one might expect. It's odd, but these old inscriptions rather rag me, as the students say. Being a college professor, I'm supposed to be a thinking human being possessing a working knowledge of most subjects. Yet here comes this old chap out of the dust-covered ruins of Babylon to offer a way I had never heard of, to pay off my debts, and at the same time acquire gold to jingle in my wallet. Pleasant thought, I say, and interesting to prove whether it will work as well nowadays as it did in old Babylon. Mrs. Westbury and I are planning to try out his plan upon our own affairs, which could be much improved. Wishing you the best of luck in your worthy undertaking and waiting eagerly another opportunity to assist, I am. Yours sincerely, Alfred H. Westbury, Department of Archaeology. Tablet 1. Now, when the moon becomes full, I, Dabasar, who am but recently returned from slavery in Syria with the determination to pay my many just debts and become a man of means worthy of respect in my native city of Babylon, do here engrave upon the clay a permanent record of my affairs to guide and assist me in carrying through my high desires. Under the wise advice of my good friend Nathan, the gold lender, I am determined to follow an exact plan that he does say will lead any honorable man out of debt into the means and self-respect. This plan includes 3 purposes which are my hope and desire. First, the plan does provide for my future prosperity. Therefore, 1/10 of all I earn shall be set aside as my own to keep. For Nathan spoke wisely when he said, "The man who keeps in his purse both the gold and silver that he need not spend is good to his family and is loyal to his king. The man who has but a few coppers in his purse is indifferent to his family and indifferent to his king. The man who has naught in his purse is unkind to his family and is disloyal to his king, for his own heart is bitter. Therefore, the man who wishes to achieve must have coin that in his heart love for his family and loyalty to his king." Second, the plan does provide that I shall support and clothe my good wife who had returned to me with loyalty from the house of her father. For Nathan does say that to take good care of a faithful wife puts self-respect into the heart of a man and adds strength and determination to his purpose. Therefore, 7/10 of all I earn shall be used to provide a home, clothes to wear, and food to eat, with a bit extra to spend, that our lives be not lacking in pleasure and enjoyment. But he does further enjoin the greatest care that we spend not greater than 7/10 of what I earn for these worthy purposes. Herein lies the success of the plan. I must live upon this portion and never use more, nor buy what I may not pay for out of this portion. Tablet 2. Third, the plan does provide that out of my earnings, my debt shall be paid. Therefore, each time the moon is full, 2/10 of all I have earned shall be divided honorably and fairly among those who have trusted me and to whom I am indebted. This in due time, with all my indebtedness, be surely paid. Therefore do I here engrave the name of every man to whom I am indebted and the honest amount of my debt. Faru, the cloth weaver, 2 silver, 6 copper. Sinzar, the couchmaker, 1 silver. Ahmar, my friend, 1 silver, 1 copper. Zankar, my friend, 4 silver, 7 copper. Askamir, my friend, 1 silver, 3 copper. Harinsir, the jewel maker, 6 silver, 1 copper. Diabaker, my father's friend, 4 silver, 1 copper. Algahad, the house owner, 14 silver. Mathan, the gold lender, 9 silver. Berejik, the farmer, 1 silver, 7 copper. From here on, disintegrated, cannot be separated. Tablet 3. To these creditors do I owe in total 119 pieces of silver and 141 pieces of copper. Because they did owe these sums and saw no way to repay in my folly, I did permit my wife to return to her father, and did leave my native city and seek easy wealth elsewhere, only to find disasters and to see myself sold into the degradation of slavery. Now that Mathan does show me how I can repay my debts in small sums of my earnings, do I realize the great extent of my folly in running away from the results of my extravagances. Therefore have I visited my creditors and explained to them that I have no resources with which to pay except my ability to earn, and that I intend to apply 2/10 of all I earn upon my indebtedness evenly and honestly. This much I can pay, but no more. Therefore, if they be patient, in my time my obligations will be paid in full. Amr, whom I thought my best friend, reviled me bitterly, and I left him in humiliation. Berejik, the farmer, pleaded that I pay him first, as he did badly need help. Algahad, the house owner, was indeed disagreeable, and insisted that he would make me trouble unless I did soon settle in full with him. All the rest willingly accepted my proposal. Therefore am I more determined than ever to carry through, being convinced that it is easier to pay one's just debts than to avoid them. Even though I cannot meet the needs and demands of a few of my creditors, I will deal impartially with all. Tablet 4. Again the moon shines full. I have worked hard with a free mind. My good wife has supported my intentions to pay my creditors. Because of our wise determination, I have earned during the past moon buying camels of sound wind and good legs for Nebador the sum of 19 pieces of silver. This I have divided according to the plan. 1/10 have I set aside to keep as my own. 7/10 have I divided with my good wife to pay for our living. 2/10 have I divided among my creditors as evenly as could be done in coppers. I did not see Amr, but left it with his wife. Berejik was so pleased he would kiss my hand. Old Algahad alone was grouchy and said I must pay faster, to which I replied that if I were permitted to be well fed and not worried, that alone would enable me to pay faster. All the others thanked me and spoke well of my efforts. Therefore, at the end of one moon, my indebtedness is reduced by almost 2 pieces of silver, and opposes almost 2 pieces of silver besides, upon which no man has claim. My heart is lighter than it had been for a long time. Again, the moon shines full. I have worked hard but with poor success. Few camels have I been able to buy. Only 11 pieces of silver have I earned. Nevertheless, my good wife and I have stood by the plan, even though we have bought no new raiment and eaten little but herbs. Again, I paid ourselves 1/10 of the 11 pieces, while we lived upon 7/10. I was surprised when Amr commended my payment, even though small. So did Berejik. Algahad flew into a rage, but when told to give back his portion if he did not wish it, he became reconciled. The others, as before, were content. Again the moon shines full, and I am greatly rejoiced. I intercepted a fine herd of camels and bought many sound ones. Therefore my earnings were 42 pieces of silver. This moon my wife and I have bought much needed sandals and raiment. Also we have dined well on meat and fowl. More than 8 silver we have paid to our creditors. Even Algahad did not protest. Great is the plan, for it leads us out of debt and gives us wealth which is ours to keep. 3 times the moon had been full since I last carved upon the clay. Each time I paid myself 1/10 of all I earned. Each time my good wife and I have lived upon 7/10, even though at times it was difficult. Each time have I paid to my creditors 2/10. In my purse I now have 21 pieces of silver that are mine. It makes my head to stand straight upon my soldiers, and makes me proud to walk among my friends. My wife keeps well of our home and is becomingly gowned. We are happy to live together. The plan is of untold value. Has it not made an honorable man of an ex-slave? Tablet 5. Again the moon shines full, and I remember that it is long since I carved upon the clay. 12 moons in truth have come and gone. But this day I will not neglect my record, because upon this day I have paid the last of my debts. This is the day upon which my good wife and my thankful self celebrate with great feasting that our determination has been achieved. Many times occurred upon my final visit to my creditors that I shall long remember. Almer begged my forgiveness for his unkind words and said that I was one of all others he most desired for a friend. Old Alkahat is not so bad after all, for he said, "You were once a piece of soft clay to be pressed and molded by any hand that touched you, but now you are the piece of bronze capable of holding an edge. If you need silver or gold at any time, come to me." Nor is he the only one who holds me in high regard. Many others speak differently to me. My good wife looks upon me with the light in her eyes that does make a man have confidence in himself. Yet it is the plan that has made my success. It has enabled me to pay all my debts and to jingle both gold and silver in my purse. I do commend it to all who wish to get ahead. For truly, if it will enable in his purse, will it not aid any man to find independence? Nor am I, myself, finished with it, for I am convinced that if I follow it further, it will make me rich among men. St. Swithin's College, Nottingham University, Newark-on-Trent, Nottingham, November 7, 1936. Professor Franklin Caldwell, care of British Scientific Expedition, Hela, Mesopotamia. My dear Professor, if in your further digging in those ruins of Babylon, you encounter the ghost of a former resident, an old camel trader named Dabasar, do me a favor. Tell him that his scribing upon those clay tablets so long ago has earned for him the lifelong gratitude of a couple of college folks back here in England. You will possibly remember my writing a year ago that Mrs. Raspberry and myself intend to try his plan for getting out of debt and at the same time having gold to jingle. You may have guessed, even though we tried to keep it from our friends, our desperate straits. We were frightfully humiliated for years by a lot of old debts and worried sick for fear some of the tradespeople might start a scandal that would force me out of the college. We paid and paid every shilling we could sneeze out of income, but it was hardly enough to hold things even. Besides, we were forced to do all our buying where we could get further credit regardless of higher cost. It developed into one of those vicious circles that grow worse instead of better. Our struggles were getting hopeless. We could not move to less costly rooms because we owed the landlord. There did not appear to be anything we could do to improve our situation. Then here comes your acquaintance, the old camel trader from Babylon, with a plan to do just what we wished to accomplish. He jolly well stirred us up to follow his system. We made a list of our debts and I took it around and showed it to everyone I owed. I explained how it was simply impossible for me to ever pay them the way things were going along. They could readily see this themselves from the figures. Then I explained that the only way I saw to pay in full was to set aside 20% of income each month divided pro rata, which would pay them in full in a little over 2 years. That in the meantime we would go on cash basis and give them the further benefit of our cash purchases. They were really quite decent. Our greengrocer, a wise old chap, put it in a way that helped to bring around the rest. If you pay for all you buy and then pay some on what you owe, that is better than you have done, for you aren't paid down the account none in 3 years. Finally, I secured all their names to an agreement binding them not to molest us as long as the 20% of income was paid regularly. Then we began scheming on how to live upon 70%. We were determined to keep that extra 10% to jingle. The thought of silver and possibly gold was most alluring. It was like having adventure to make the change. We enjoyed figuring this way and that, to live comfortably upon that remaining 70%. We started with rent and managed to secure a fair reduction. Next, we'd put our favorite brands of tea and such under suspicion and were agreeably surprised how often we could purchase superior qualities at less cost. All this out of my old same check. Difficult to believe, yet absolutely true. All our debts being gradually paid and at the same time our investment increasing. Besides, we get along financially even better than before. Who would believe there would be such a difference in results between following a financial plan and just drifting along? At the end of the year, when all our old bills shall have been paid, we will have more to pay upon our investment besides some extra for travel. We are determined never again to permit our living expenses to exceed 70% of our income. Now you can understand why we would like to extend our personal thanks to that old chap whose plan saved us from our hell on earth. He knew he had been through it all. He wanted others to benefit from his own bitter experiences. That is why he spent tedious hours carving his message upon the clay. He had a real message for fellow sufferers, a message so important that after 5,000 years it has risen out of the ruins of Babylon, just as true and just as vital as the day it was buried. Yours sincerely, Alfred H. Shrewsbury, Department of Archaeology.